Welcome to the Normal America Show. Your host, Rob Knorr. Great to be here this fine evening. Just clocking out at work here. So, it's great to see you all. Had a fantastic weekend. I hope you all did as well. Got a good show lined up for you tonight. So, just got done watching BPF's trash talking extravaganza with some stuff that's going on centered around the Groypers and things like that. It's not my forte. I've always found those people to be unserious people. I see the periphery of it, and I see them sort of acting in ways that is very reminiscent of what I see the extreme left doing. So, it's worth talking about. Let me grab a drink real quick. But I have no expertise in dealing with those people, nor do I want to. But BPF does, and he's good at it. What's up, Bruce E.T.? Thanks so much for coming. Thanks to anyone who's here from the Crucible. I supported Kathy Barnett. Absolutely, I did. That's who I voted for. I got to talk to her live on my channel. So, tonight's show, so let me explain a little about myself if you're new to the show. I work a lot. I do home health care, so when I'm at work, I'm there 24/7 until I leave. Sometimes I'm off the clock, like now when I clock out in the evening, but it's difficult for me to keep up on the day-to-day news and things like that. So oftentimes what I'm doing is looking at the big news stories and things like that. But when it comes to other streamers, I don't really get to view much content. The same when it comes to mainstream media people. So if Don Lemon says something outrageous, I probably missed it. If Vaush says something outrageous, I probably missed it. But I have a lot of people that are helpful sending me things on my Discord or through email or through private messages on Twitter. They'll be like, did you see this clip? Did you see this clip? So I try to check that stuff out when I can. I don't always get to it. But today, a friend of the show, Aftershock, who is a great friend of the show, someone I really like, he generously timestamped some videos of some comments that left-wing streamer Vaush brought up. And so we're going to go through some of that tonight. And I think it's particularly important given it's not just that Vaush is an outlier. You're increasingly seeing more vocal left-wing voices basically call for violence against right-wingers. And so I think that it's important. You saw Ethan from H3H3 suggest bombing the NRA. That was something that he suggested. You'll see, I'm not going to bury the lead. Vaush suggests shooting at conservatives that are open carrying, that we should shoot at them, that are legally open carrying. That's insane. So we're going to talk about that. I had a request to talk about sort of then you see the reaction to this, right? When you demonize people and you make it look like they're Nazis, then you see the policy, the cultural and policy implications of this. We see Justin Trudeau this evening passing an executive order, I believe. I didn't follow it too closely. Basically banning the transfer or sale of handguns. So if you have a handgun, I believe you could still own it, but you can no longer purchase a handgun, nor can you transfer that handgun or sell it to anyone, I believe is how. And that works out. Joe Biden today talked about banning 9mm handguns. That was a caliber that is more designed for danger. Look, this is what people like me have told you all along. Now, I'm not an expert on guns. One of the things I love being a conservative is, and being basically embracing the idea of free will and individuality is, there are people that know way more about a lot of things than me. In fact, I don't consider myself an expert on anything. But guns is one of those things where you could throw a rock and find 20 people that know more about them than me. I own guns. I've hunted. I understand the importance of the Second Amendment. But for God's sakes, I married into a family that owns a gun shop. So when it comes to my knowledge of guns, I understand that amongst the people I know, I'm way at the bottom. But even in my limited capacity of what I understand, I'm not a total idiot. I believe in gun safety. I practice gun safety. But I couldn't tell you the best rifle for, hunting white-tailed deer or anything like that. I've traditionally used a 270 or 30-06, but I don't know. That's just because people that knew better were like, hey, man, you should purchase this gun or you should use this gun, and that's what I shot in. And, before hunting season, you want to use the gun that you're sighting in so you trust the scope and everything like that. So that's what I've done. By the way, I haven't been hunting for many a year. It's something I would like to start doing again soon. But even with my limited knowledge of guns, I understand where the impetus for gun control is coming from. They will never quit until they get rid of all guns. It's an argument that I've made with people that discuss AR-15s or bump stocks and things like that in the past. I say, look, what is your argument? And they'll say something like this. Oh, look at how many people die from AR-15s. And I'll say, actually, if you look at the statistics, not all that many people yearly are dying in the United States of AR-15s. The most common gun that's used in deaths are handguns. So are you suggesting we should ban handguns? And they'd go, oh, no, we're not. And I would say, but you will. That's where this is going. It is going, I'm not saying everyone. Certainly those in positions of power on the left, they want to disarm you. That's what they want. They want you totally disarmed. That way they can institute their tyranny. But that's not what the average lefty thinks. Let's be honest. I'm not going to bullshit you here. You hear a tragedy like Uvalde, and it's easy to see if you're not forward-thinking just saying, ban all guns. Get rid of guns. Oh my God, this is horrible. Because it is a horrible situation. And I don't blame people for recognizing that horror. It's horrific to me. It's horrific to everyone. And so I understand an overreaction, just like I would in any horrific situation. But it's the wrong reaction. It ignores history. It ignores the importance of the Second Amendment and what it was intended for. But I understand where it comes from, and I don't think that, my friend that's like, look, I think we should get rid of AR-15s, or we should pass a law that says you have to be 21 to buy one. I don't think that they're an evil person. I don't think that they're a horrible person. I understand. I disagree with them strongly. I don't think they're thinking through. Just like so many of those same people that were like, we need to have lockdowns. They didn't know. They thought that that was a good thing. Now, the people in charge that were embracing lockdowns, they knew what was up. They intentionally were harming the poor and working class and leading to a wealth transfer and a great reset. That's what they were doing. And before I start, I want to make something absolutely clear here. I may say some things that look like our current system is despicable and horrible. And in many ways, our current system is despicable and horrible. But it's not as bad as some people will have you believe. Life is unfair, it's cruel, it's brutal, it always has been. But now's the best time to be alive. We talk about privilege a lot in our society. If you're born in the United States of America and you don't have a crippling, debilitating disease and you're not a victim of violence from your family, you're amongst the 99% of the most privileged people that have ever lived. The history of life is brutal. Brutal, particularly before the 19th century. It's absolutely brutal. So when I talk to communists and stuff that'll say, we have to destroy the whole system. It can't be worse than it is right now. It's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. We can go back to the Holodomor. They put signs up in the Ukraine after the Soviet Union kicked all the farmers out, the kulaks. Starvation was so bad, 15 million people, I believe, starved. They had signs up that said, no matter how hungry you get, don't eat your children. That's hell on earth. That's a horror that I hope never exists again, but it probably will, but I hope it never exists again, and I certainly hope no one that I know or anyone in this country ever has to live through. And so to act like we need this radical destruction, what I argue the most against, I argue for populism and I argue against corruption. But that doesn't mean that that we need to become Mad Max. And if you're new to my channel, or if you're watching this for the first time, not live, but sometime in the future, and you hear Rob say, oh, Rob's talking a lot about corruption, and Rob's talking a lot about insane left-wingers. What's the solution to that? I wonder, is Rob advocating anything? Is he saying that we need to go, physically attack, use violence? Ask people on my channel. I argue against all political violence more than basically anyone I know. It is not the answer. And when people on the right have suggested it, I've rebuked them as strongly as possible. And it's certainly worth rebuking what we see for calls of it on the left. But as we go here, I'm going to show you the logical progression of how someone like Vaush or someone like Ethan gets to the point where they're calling for literal violence against non-violent people just because they have political disagreements. I'll show you how you get there. But just know, I don't do that. I despise Vaush's takes. Have I called for violence against him? No. Have I called for censorship of him? No. Have I called for him to be removed from platforms? No. I haven't. So just know that that's where we're going this evening. So, two more things before we get started here, going on these clips. I did not timestamp these, nor was I able to watch the majority of the clips. I watched one because it was tagged the most ridiculous clip. So that I know. But I owe thanks to my good friend Aftershock, which I know he'll be watching this eventually, even if he can't be with us live right now, because he's probably working. But my friend Aftershock is the one who painstakingly watched this video, timestamped it, actually painstakingly watched two videos and timestamped them. And so, thank you to him. Now, I haven't watched those timestamps. Second thing, I would like to thank, even though I didn't get their permission, I assume it will be all right. The clip that Aftershock sent me is actually a video from Destiny on YouTube, where he is reacting to sort of Vaush saying these things. So that's the video that I have timestamped, so that's what I'll be using. So I usually like to thank the person whose video I'm using. So thank you to Destiny for that. I will put the link to that video so that anyone may watch that video and he gets credit for it as well. The third thing is I don't have... Thank you so much, Third Rail with Omar. It was great talking to you previously. Please check out his channel. We had an excellent interview with Omar 3-4 months ago. So consider checking him out. He's on YouTube there. You see the channel, The Third Rail with Omar. Thank you so much for the super chat. Financial donations, very much appreciated, so thank you. The third thing to say is I don't pay for the YouTube without ads. So unfortunately, ads might pop up while we're watching this. It's just something we're going to have to get through. So, without further ado, we're going to watch this clip. It's Destiny reacting to a Vaush video. For those that don't know, Destiny I would consider him more of a centrist type left-leaning person, even though I think he has takes that I don't really agree with. He seems to be at least in the realm of sanity, someone who I enjoy talking to. Vaush, on the other hand, I find to be a sophist, who I think is disingenuous, who has routinely talked about it's okay to use all sorts of shady tactics if it means your side wins. I think he's sort of a postmodernist that believes there's no such thing as truth. At least he is similar to the people like that I've ran into in my life. And everything's about power. And so if you have to lie or misrepresent the truth or call for horrible tactics like violence for your side to win, so be it. I have no respect for him. I have no respect for his argumentation tactics, as I've done at least one video analyzing a debate of his that shows some of these shady tactics that he uses. So Destiny, I think, is also disgusted with a lot of these comments from Vaush. But the point is to show how unhinged people that are vocal on the left are becoming. And make no mistake about it, not everyone on the left is Vaush or Ethan from H3H3, who just this week on a video said that someone should bomb the NRA. But these voices are out there, and many, many people follow these voices or agree with them. And more importantly, the cultural shift, or the culture that's been dominated by sort of the institutional left at this point, these sort of voices are radical enough to allow them to push for things like Canada basically banning the sale of handguns, or in the United States, our president talking about banning 9mm and things like that. So it's important to look at how these unhinged conversations start. Now, for me, this started way back in the day with a person named Richard Spencer, who I actually debated. I got what I wanted out of that Richard Spencer debate, which he admitted that the Democratic Party and the left wing is more of a home to white supremacists and white nationalists, because the racialization that we see so common on the left and the Democratic Party now is just the inverse of what the white nationalists believe. But way back in the day, maybe 2014, 2015, maybe slightly after that, Richard Spencer, there was a video of him getting punched, and he's this well-known white nationalist. And so this conversation started up, is it okay to punch a Nazi? And I believe it was The Guardian or The Telegraph put this video out that was like, well, maybe not, but yeah. And I remember back then, talking to people on blogs that I was on, was like, the answer is no. It's not okay to punch a Nazi. And you want to know the number one reason why? Because once you say yes, then you say, oh, and everyone I disagree with is a Nazi. If a Nazi is using physical violence or about to use physical violence on you, fair enough, you could defend yourself with physical violence. Other than that, even if they're saying heinous things like calling for a white ethno-state, no, you can't just go up to them and punch them. You can't do that. Once we say that those sort of tactics are acceptable, every political discourse that we have will now disappear. Because you could say, I don't like what you're saying, I find it evil and heinous, therefore I'll punch you. Take a simple debate that we've seen recently. Almost everyone, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, could make the argument that that's such a big, important issue, and the other side is so heinous, that now we could justify using violence against them. That's one issue. Now imagine the complex issues that come around immigration, or that come around sort of the teaching of sex ed and LGBT and identity, gender identity with young people. All of these things on both sides of the aisle, people say this is such an important issue. Basically, the people I agree with are unhuman and therefore violence is justified. Once you say yes, it's okay to physically assault people I disagree with if they're heinous enough, then you are a small step away from saying, and by the way, everyone I disagree with is heinous. That's where this comes. And so back then I was arguing, no, you can't say this. And I argue this all the time when I talk to lefties. It's the same thing every time.
Yeah, you say political violence isn't justified. What about the Boston Tea Party? What about the American Revolution?
And I say for every one time that it's been justified in history, there's been 100,000 times that people have claimed that it was justified and it wasn't. And I don't see any issue, no matter how significant today, where that sort of violence is justified for a litany of reasons. One, because we've grown as a society. And second, because the violence isn't strategic anyways. And third, because it's used for immoral reasons, even if you could argue that there was morality at the center of it to begin with. It spirals out of control. Look at the French Revolution. But as soon as you say, I guess there was one time in history it was justified, this is what the leftists will say.
Well, don't we live in a systemically racist society? Well, that racism's the worst thing. So therefore, we're justified in using violence. If it was the Boston Tea Party was justified, then we're justified in using violence against our current racist system.
And there you have it. As soon as you say, I guess maybe once in a while this is justified, they'll say, exactly. And my issue is why it's justified. And that's exactly what we're going to see from the Ethan Ralphs of the world. Or, I'm sorry, Ethan Ralph. What's Ethan's last name? Klein from H3H3? Anyways, Ethan from H3H3, or what you'll see from Vaush. So first, let's do the setup where Vaush is going to explain how evil conservatives are. Now, one of the things that occurred during Trump was when they said the lie, by the way, the reason Joe Biden gave for running for office was basically that Trump, what he said about Charlottesville, implying that he said Nazis were good people. Trump never said that. Trump condemned white supremacy and racism in all three of his remarks, three of his speeches dealing with Charlottesville after Charlottesville. But things were taken out of context and made it seem like he was saying that they were good people. He wasn't. They're good people on both sides statement. Immediately in the next paragraph, he says, of course, I'm not talking about white supremacists, the KKK, and people like that. They're heinous. We should call them out. But that misleading statement, and even our president now, Joe Biden, pushing that misleading statement, what does that do to a country? Millions of people believed that Donald Trump was a Nazi sympathizer. And by extension, that Trump supporters were Nazi sympathizers. What if someone believes that? What if someone takes that seriously? Right? So if you're saying that, while simultaneously saying, and it's okay to punch Nazis, what's going to be the end event of that? So let's watch from this first clip. Let's make sure I have it up. And I don't, as always. Let's watch what Vaush has to say about what current conservatives are doing.
In on this. You talk about nonviolent rhetoric. Okay. So I'm a big advocate for defensive violence here. I do think we're in the preliminary stages of a genocide.
What? What do you mean by that, Vaush? Vaush, I'm gonna need you to clarify a little bit, buddy, because you sound a little bit fucking unhinged right now. Okay, that sounded a little bit unhinged.
Against queer people in particular, but probably adjacent groups as well. And in such an environment, I think it is politically irresponsible to treat the agents of that genocide with anything other than the greatest possible degree of moral condemnation.
So, like this.
So his claim here is that the right is about to commit genocide against LGBT people and LGBT adjacent people. Now, the irony is, Vaush has talked about how Tucker Carlson should be responsible for the Buffalo shooter because Tucker Carlson talks about something called Great Replacement Theory. Now, I don't follow everything Tucker Carlson says. I will say this. When I've seen Tucker Carlson talk about this, it wasn't racially based necessarily. What it was saying that they're trying to import votes. And those votes will disenfranchise the people that are already here, whether they be white, black, Hispanic, Asian, etc., etc. Is it true that they have a preference of what type of race they want to bring in? I don't know. I could understand that you've certainly seen lip service. Joe Biden himself has talked glowingly about how great it is that white people will no longer be the majority at one point. But I think that they would happily accept white people that would vote the way they wanted. To me, I don't think it's a racial thing. I just think that they get away with it because they understand that right now it's okay to denigrate certain races that are deemed oppressors, and so that's why they get away with it. Nonetheless, Tucker Carlson shouldn't be beholden that because he said that someone took that and went out and did something heinous. But if you are someone who's going to say that he should be blamed for that, how can you then claim that the entire other political side of the aisle is going to commit genocide? That is a magnitude worse than what Vaush was complaining about what Tucker Carlson did. But that's exactly what he's doing. He's not saying, oh, if it's up to conservatives, they'll make sure that immigration stops and white people remain the majority. He's saying they're literally going to commit genocide against people they disagree with. Now, he doesn't cite any evidence as how that's the case, nor have I heard anyone in any sort of prominent position, culturally or politically on the Republican or conservative side, advocate anything close to genocide against gay people. Haven't heard anything close to that. But Vaush just says it as if it's matter of fact. Now, I believe he has another clip here. Let's see if I can find it where he makes similar point.
Do some change.
I'll just be a bit more direct here.
Go for it.
I think that for interpersonal conversations, it's very important to adopt certain rhetorical approaches to make people feel like they're understood and to address their concerns. I also feel like we're on the precipice of a genocide. And I know, looking at history, that your approach has been ineffective.
It's so cringe, dude.
Would you have told the Jews back in 32 in Germany?
Can somebody tweet?
And here we go. This is the argument you hear quite often. This comes directly from the, is it okay to punch a Nazi? The next argument they'll say is, wouldn't you have stopped in the early 30s? Wouldn't you have stopped the Nazis if you could have? Wouldn't you have killed Hitler? Wouldn't you have killed the Nazis before they rose to power? And what this is it's not even a dog whistle. It's a blatant call. We are literally facing Nazis that are about to commit genocide to people on our side. And wouldn't you have used violence to stop the people before they rose that were doing that in the 30s? It's not difficult to see exactly what he's implying here. Exactly what he's implying. He is accusing others of what he's suggesting. He's suggesting using violence against his political opponents. Take them out before they take us out. No one serious on the other side is suggesting. Now, there are people saying this on the right, if you could call them on the right. And that's the dissident right, the white nationalist, those sorts of people who we rightfully say are unhinged and should be rebuked. But this is what you get for people. If I said things like, by the way, we haven't even, I'm bearing the lead because we'll get to the, maybe you're saying right here, listen, he's not really suggesting that. He's not really, he might be sort of suggesting it, but you can understand how his audience would take from that you should use violence. Just like we should have used lethal force to stop the Nazis before they came to power. We're on the precipice of a genocide now. He actually brings up, shouldn't we have stopped the Nazis in 1932? But just in case that's not clear-cut enough for you. Well, one more clip first. Let's hear him clarify some more.
By the way, liberals need to be afraid. They should be afraid. We are at the precipice of a very difficult social situation. Their
Don't
fear
you think that that's
needs to be politically
incredibly
effective.
exaggerated?
Wait, what is?
Yeah, we're about a genocide's about to happen, and we need to all go get guns and
That
be
right
ready to
there
mass
is
slaughter.
why we're not a part of the same group. No, we're literally, like, if you look at any, like, lead up to a genocide, like, charts, like,
Jesus Christ, dude. Do you think it's because he fought with somebody? I'm trying to figure out, like, what is happening in his brain? Maybe because he fought with so many left-leaning groups recently, he feels like he has to be, like, as insanely extremist as possible in order to, like, win back the love of some of these people, or...
where are you?
Like, this video, this is Alex Jones tier, this video.
Alex Jones isn't this
It's
bad.
not ambiguous. Those charts weren't written by leftists. I mean, we're at the point right now where, you know, right-wing media is coordinating to condition their audience to think of all queer people, or even people with colored hair, Jesus, as groomers and pedophiles, which is a clear element of dehumanization, which leads up to legal oppression, which we're getting through currently, right now, unstopping, and following that, you know.
So here's the big difference.
So do you see? So if you, because right-wing, thanks so much for the follow, I appreciate it. Because right-wingers are calling out when people are telling 5-year-olds about sexualization and saying that's wrong, that needs to be rebuked, we should pass laws that say that can't happen. Well, that means we want to commit genocide against all people on the left. That is absurd. Absolutely absurd. But he's quite clear in what he's saying. The person that he's talking to here is like, I think you're going too far. This is extreme. He says, he doubles down, just in case you were wondering. Well, it's just him being, you know, sort of hyperbolic here. No, he's saying absolutely. And even those on the left that don't recognize, you're not in my group if you don't recognize we're on the precipice of this genocide. But this, to me, is the coup de grace. All of this you could say, okay. But he's not really prescribing a solution. He's just saying, get prepared. I want you to imagine that a right-winger would say this on a platform such as Twitch or YouTube, and consider what would happen to them. Ready?
But like others will say, like, no, don't do that. There might be attempts at ousting. Remember during the Black Lives Matter rallies, you know, there were like those Patriot Prayer dumb fucks rolling their, you know, $60,000 trucks through like urban neighborhoods with a bunch of guys with guns in the pickup trucks. When that happens, I want people to be able to take shots at them from apartment windows.
Take shit, they weren't, there's okay, if you want to drive around with guns, you have...
Let me replay that for you.
No, don't do that. There might be attempts at ousting. Remember during the Black Lives Matter rallies, you know, there were like those Patriot Prayer dumb fucks rolling their, you know, $60,000 trucks through like urban neighborhoods with a bunch of guys with guns in the pickup trucks. When that happens, I want people to be able to take shots at them from apartment windows.
Take shit, they weren't, there's okay, if you want to drive...
In other words, people that were legally open carrying, he wants people to literally shoot them from their apartment. Right. Let's not forget. That's exactly the point. At this very rally that he's talking about, an Antifa man did shoot and murder someone that was there at the rally on the right, who, by the way, wasn't armed. Now, if I say certain biological facts, I'm banned on Twitch. If I say there are questions surrounding our COVID response. I could get banned on YouTube. But this guy could say, I want people to shoot at people that are open carrying. No, that Antifa member was confronted by police and shot and killed by police. That did happen. Yes, Twitch is absolutely... Now, I don't want anyone to report Vaush. I think Vaush, if he's going to believe these things and his audience is going to support it, I would rather it be out in the open. Don't respond to... No comment, Chick Gang. This is another person that's going to try to get people banned in my channel. Just so you know. So... Let's hear more of what Vaush has to say here. Again, Aftershock's in here now. Thanks so much, Aftershock. He's the one who timestamped this for me and sent me this video.
In the past. So that's what we need to do. We got to bring liberals on board. They got to own the guns.
Need a gift for your man this holiday? Meet the...
Here we go. I knew this was bound to happen. So thanks so much, Aftershock, for this sub. I appreciate it, man. So let me play this ad out and then... Okay. Let me get back here.
To be practicing at the ranges. They have to be treating political organizing with the same sense of fatalistic engagement that Republicans do. You know, we need people out there as crazy as the Republicans in those school board meetings. We need them showing up to all those local town hall groups. We need them to be psychotic. You know, break the law. I don't give a shit. Don't hurt any innocent people, of course, but be...
Don't hurt any innocent people. You just called for the shooting of people that were legally open and carrying. Now, people are saying he's just saying this for clicks. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think he absolutely believes this. Listen to his comments that he had about Kyle Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse should have sat there, not defended himself, and if they decided to beat him to death, so be it. He shouldn't have been there. He was at fault. This is what he believes, and this is what thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of people on the left believe. I'm not going to reciprocate. I'm not going to say, oh, they're unhinged, therefore we must use violence against them. No, that's wrong. But he is quite clearly calling for violence and law breaking against law-abiding citizens whom he disagrees with politically. Couple more clips, maybe. Remember, it's bad not to... It would be undemocratic to not accept the results of an election, right? Whoever wins, hey, that's what happens when you win, right?
When the Reds win, when the Republicans win, what do we do then?
Dude. We lose.
You're gonna just
genocide.
Tell me you're not going to respect rules of law passed by them if they entail the oppression of minorities. Like, you'd go like, well, they won the election, so they just get to do that.
Of course not. If it was, unconstitutional stuff, which
no.
They would be.
They have the Supreme Court. It's constitutional. What are you gonna do?
My point is, okay, yes, if
Right. So the point he's making. So you might be saying, okay, well, maybe that's a reasonable point. If Republicans win and say, we're going to put black people in chains, should we abide by that? But that's not what Vaush is saying. Listen to how the left speaks. For example, they said the voting law in Georgia. Oh, my goodness, that was racism. That's ensuring black people, it's going to suppress the black vote. Of course, what we saw was record turnout, even in the Democratic primaries amongst black people. So there wasn't the suppression that they claimed. But those are the sorts of things that they'll say. If you don't want to teach sexual identity, gender identity to kindergartners, that's oppression. That's genocide, says Vaush. We're not going to respect those laws, even if Republicans win and pass those laws through a republic system. Everything that they told you was wrong about the right and Trump supporters is who they actually are. They didn't accept the 2016 election. Instead of having people march January 6th, they rioted all over the country and then had their FBI and their media undermine the duly elected president the entire time. I'm just going to do a couple more clips. He goes on to talk about, Germany. Wouldn't you have fought the Nazis before World War II? Like, here's an example.
Where we are in that environment, do you think it's unfair to go like, yeah, you should be like ready if they come for you, like they are getting ready for something and you need to be ready, you need to arm yourself?
Again, I already said I think it's fair to just say everyone, be ready for anything. But in the case of trans people,
For anything.
seeing a very but that's not the focus of your commentary. Your commentary isn't like just be ready in case anything happens, but be super safe. It was like, let's go. They want us all.
Right, and that's actually a fair point. I don't mind if someone on the left says we should be afraid of tyranny of people on the right, which is why we should exercise our constitutional Second Amendment. That's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'd say the same thing on the right. I don't say go actively shoot at people that you disagree with. I don't say that they're on the precipice of committing genocide against us. I don't say that. I don't say that you should go out and break the law. Vaush won't debate me. He's all but said so on the Crucible. He knows better. I don't think this guy's doing a terrible job that's talking to him here anyways. Do I think the left's moving more towards open conflict against the right, or do I think it's a fringe thing? Sort of both. I don't think it's open conflict in the sense that you think. I think that they're going to say it's societally permissible to use violence, intimidation, etc. on people that they deem heinous of a certain sort. We've already seen it. That's what the George Floyd riots were about. That's what the riots in 2016, once Trump got elected, was about. That's what the attacks on Trump rallies that we constantly saw from groups like Antifa was about. That's what the Chaz Zone was about. Mostly peaceful protests, because in their head they're like, well, they're the good guys, they're fighting the bad guys. No, Vaush won't debate me. He was specifically asked this question when he was interviewed in the Crucible, and he said he doubts he would do it because it would just be debating right-wing talking points, which is another way of saying he won't do it. I've debated him 2 or 3 times. All of them were on a panel. He won't debate me one-on-one. He knows. I would love to debate him on this topic. We could do it right now if he wanted. I haven't heard Destiny say Republicans should be genocided. If he said that, that's absolutely heinous and wrong. Show me the clip. I'd be more than willing to see it. Oops, I'm sorry. I wanted to finish that comment here.
Dead. That was one of your quotes.
Do you think it would be inappropriate for the Jews to have said that back in the early 30s? They want us dead, the Nazis want us all dead?
Could it not have been? I don't know the history, but
Do you see? There, he's blatantly saying it. Now, before people say, oh, no, that's not a direct call to violence, listen to how that section went there. He says, we need to arm, we need to do this. The other left-wing person that he's talking to is like saying, yeah, but that's not what you're saying. You're not just saying get ready to defend yourself. You're being more aggressive. You're saying we should proactively start fighting. And Vaush's response is, isn't that what we should do? Isn't that what the Jews should have done? Andrew says, I hate Destiny's takes on Vaush. It's like, I'm only doing this because the only reason I'm using Destiny's footage is because my friend Aftershock timestamped all these because I worked all day. And so this is the video I was familiar with. Couple more. Now, you heard what Vaush just said there, right? Where he's likening today's situation. He said it's a genocide. He's likening today's situation with Jewish people in the Holocaust. Ah, these stupid ads. Give me a second.
Holocaust would have, like the Holocaust too would have happened. No, actually, I think that something would have changed if Jews back then had simply armed themselves and then killed all of the Nazi party. You know.
What the fuck? What the fuck do you even? What do you? Dude, you watch Inglourious Bastards too many times. And
there were attempts to do that, but I mean full on kick down the door, gun them all down. You know, maybe they get arrested or executed.
Boom! You just said it.
Whoa! But killing Nazis?
Right now,
wait, are we against killing Nazis here?
I'm totally on board.
We're
saying
against the fact that you're calling everybody in the Republican Party Nazis.
So then
I've made nothing. I have made no allegories in this conversation. Okay.
What's an allegory?
No comparisons, analogies, none whatsoever. But yes,
what? That's
the
what
Jews.
We're talking about. We're comparing. Yes, you.
No,
okay.
we're not. No, this is unrelated. The Jews might have been successful in preventing their own extermination. Wait, do you agree? Wait, do you?
Now, do you see how slippery he is? He can't even admit, I've made no comparisons, I've made no allegories. What a liar! That's exactly what he spent the entire discussion doing. They're on the precipice, conservatives are on the precipice of committing genocide against the LGBT, just like the Nazis were on the precipice of committing genocide against the Jews. If there's no comparison, then why does he keep bringing up 1932 and the Jews? John, I'm not currently using Brave because I have a situation with my computer. My computer at home is using Brave. My computer at work here, because of certain things with the internet I have here at work, I was unable to download Brave. So it is what it is. So I'll get my computer into the house and download Brave on it next week, and then it won't be a problem. But Who told me to look up this Destiny video? Young Etika, remind me again at the end of this. I'll look up that clip. We'll finish up here. Last clip.
Following any kind of conflict between federal and state legislation. So the best example of this would be if the federal government passes some radically oppressive rule that a progressive state government doesn't want to follow, and there's conflict within and without the state as to whether or not that law will actually be followed, that conflict will lead to pockets of insurrectionary activity and lawlessness where right-wing groups, militias, and probably cops will work together in order to effectively secure areas under like de facto martial law. And in those environments, it is kill or be killed. And in those environments, I hope my people have guns. And by my people, I mean 250 million Americans who don't vote red. That's most.
Finish it.
Exactly what I'm talking about. And whether or not they win in those pockets will play a large role in who wins over the state government, and whether or not
You hear? So in other words, if the federal government passes laws that he deems oppressive, and what are those laws? Well, laws banning critical race theory, laws saying that we need voter ID, things like that, then he hopes that it's kill or be killed. That lefties in those areas will pick up arms and kill people. That's what he hopes. Get it? Kill or be killed. Now, Destiny seems to be strongly suggesting this is terrible here. But someone's told me to check this clip out that he has previously called for genocide. Let's take a look. Destiny said horrible things in the past. At one point, he said that all alternative media, while talking specifically about me, should be removed. Now, in fairness, that clip I just showed you from Vaush was from like this week. This video looks like it's going to be from 3 years ago, but nonetheless, a call for genocide's a call for genocide. Here's the link, by the way, in case anyone wants to see this or share it. I mean, that's pretty fucking bad. Oh, it was muted? Well, then it didn't sound that bad to you, right? I muted because the ad was there. Let's go back. It would sound worse if you heard. Let's try again.
A little bit of regulation here. As a conservative, you've already rejected that argument so many times in the past. I think it looks really bad to don that hat now.
You genuinely do hate conservatives, don't you?
Very much so. I've moved full on to like the political violence level, or the real violence level when it comes to conservative people. Yeah, I think they need to be like excised from my fucking country. I think they are demonstrably fucking evil people by any moral system that most people would use. And then I just hate them because they tend to destroy the outcomes related to this country, which is what I'm concerned with. Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty clear cut there. Now, you go back, I get warnings all the time. I'm told that I'm a terrible person, and I get community strikes on YouTube and shit. I challenge you to find one time in my entire streaming, which thousands of hours, that you'll be able to find online. Well, not so much anymore because I had to delete a bunch of shit from YouTube. But I challenge you to find anyone of any clip of me ever calling for political violence. Go ahead. Yet I'm considered an extremist. Show me saying anything racist. Show me saying anything bigoted. I'm the immoral person? There are people on the right who have almost no cultural influence or power whatsoever that talk like this, and they're rightfully shunned by anyone on the right who is remotely in the mainstream conversation, even people like me. That I wouldn't even consider myself mainstream on the right, really. But I understand how heinous it is. And yet even the people that I would look at as more moderate today on the left have been saying things like, apparently like Destiny just did here, Republicans are fucking evil and we need to use real violence against them to excise them from the country. What does it matter if it's him being shat on? If Vaush said that, I would rightfully take him to task. Why wouldn't I do it with Destiny? Why wouldn't I do it with a right-winger that said this shit? Pisco did say, he said, Rob, it's worth looking at that clip, and said, yeah, that's pretty bad. Now, maybe Destiny, I would assume, based on his ridiculing of Vaush and his takes there, probably would say, look, I was being hyperbolic, I've changed, I don't think like that anymore. And I'm not saying that I want Destiny or Vaush canceled. Or even those videos removed. I don't want that. I have never called for that sort of shit. He says some worse stuff right after. You want to keep playing it just to see? I don't know. I've never heard the clip, so I'm not going to play it all night, but we'll play some more, I guess.
Yeah, that's a topic I'm not yet sort of ready to touch. I'm not prepared for this topic. But suffice to say, I'm not opposed to quote violence. To be quite honest, not only in this context, but like generally speaking, some people are just very sort of detrimental. Yeah. So we want to talk.
Well, this
about
guy's wrong too.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of fucked.
No problem.
Can I start? I'm just gonna kind of like where do I start? Do I need the introduction here?
From you or for the report?
From the report. Fuck. Okay, let me just start going through this. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. I'll take your word that he says. I'm only gonna judge based on what I heard. I'm not gonna just play 20 minutes of a Destiny clip. After Chuck says, they've all said and done things as bad as Vaush today. That's why they can't call it out for what it really is. There's this edgy sort of, oh, yeah, call for violence, blah, 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 let's go after the real Nazis. And then you see, isn't it ironic that Destiny saying that 3 years ago, now the people agreeing with Destiny 3 years ago would say, yep, and Destiny's one of those evil, immoral bigots that needs to be excised from the country. Isn't that ironic? And that's the truth of all of these calls for violence from the lefties. Eventually, they won't be able to meet the lofty standards that they're claiming makes them pure. You see it with the cancel debate. Oh, cancel conservatives that might have this feeling on trans issues or might have this feelings on whatever issue. And now and cancel center leftists, cancel TERFs. And then eventually it'll be cancel the people that are trans advocates, but they're not xenogender advocates. It'll be cancel them next. That's how we get to this. Now, you have people like that, and then the more moderate stance of this is Trudeau saying, let's stop all sale of handguns and transfer handguns. Joe Biden saying, let's get rid of 9MMs. Trudeau saying, let's target people that donated to the truckers. Let's shut off their bank accounts. The Biden administration admitting, full on admitting, we wanted to make life as difficult as possible for those that didn't get vaccinated. Saying, Biden administration is out there saying the most extreme political group in the history of this country are Trump supporters. What do you think the reaction to that's going to be? Now, I don't blame Biden then if someone goes out and does something heinous because of that. But the problem is they're saying it unhinged, which it's not even remotely true. There's no proof. There is no way that anyone in reasonably objective good faith could say that Trump supporters are a worse political movement than, say, the radical slavery endorsing Democrats. The KKK that used to be a large political movement. How could anyone make the claim objectively? But also, in addition to that, the problem is they're actually enacting policies based on these crazy beliefs. Well, we need a disinformation board. Oh, Biden said in recent history, maybe he did say that. So I just wanted to see the shit that Vaush was saying this week, this shit that Ethan from H3H3, if anyone on the right said that on these platforms, they would be booted. But these platforms are cool with lefties making calls to violence like that. They would more likely suspend a lefty for criticizing Joe Biden's involvement in Ukraine than something like this. Yeah, I remember that after show. What's up, Frank? How you doing? Let's Be Frank, my friend on YouTube there. Please check out his channel. It's Let's Be Frank. I actually did a video with him today, so check that out on the disastrous Pennsylvania vote counting business that's going on. So we'll put a link to that video. You can check it out, but please check out his whole channel. And I was telling Frank today, we talked like 30 minutes. Every time I talk to Frank and do a video with him, we talk like, half hour before or after we do the video. And I told him, I was like, I think one of the reasons is so many of these people that I talk to on my stream are insane lefties. So there's the video I did with Frank today. So yeah, Robert, I also am embarrassed to say I'm from Pennsylvania. YouTube is asshole. I agree. So we got huge streamers like Vaush and Ethan from H3H3 calling for violence. Rock 4571. So we just show you lefties calling for violence and things like that. His big contribution is say, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, trans terrorists are America's biggest threat. I spoke on the idea of trying to make the Uvalde shooter about trans issues. I see no evidence that it was about trans issues whatsoever. I'm not even sure that the pictures that circulated, I know some of them were fake. I'm not sure that they all were. I think that that's stupid. I agree, Frank, the videos have been fun. Call me when Marjorie Taylor Greene is in charge of a disinformation group sent to censor people that disagree with her, like the Biden administration's doing. Call me when Marjorie Taylor Greene weaponizes the FBI to spy on her political opponents for 3 or 4 years. Call me then. Call me when Marjorie Taylor Greene is using the FBI to have the biggest task force in history for their office to hunt down her political opponents. Tell me when they're subpoenaing all the journalists and politicians that disagree with her. The Legend of Sean says, right wing says everyone should have guns. Lefties say we should defend ourselves. Then the right throws a sissy fit over the practice of the Second Amendment. Well, Sean, either you're being disingenuous or you're not listening to me, because the person that Vaush was debating specifically made that argument, which I stopped the video and said, this is a good point. I totally embrace anyone who is on the left, right, center, etc. of legally exercising their constitutional right to keep and bear arms as outlined in the Second Amendment. I have no problem with that. It is a misnomer and a misrepresentation that people on the left, they always say, what if black people got guns? Then you would be against it. No, we would all say, great, absolutely. You should have the right to defend yourself and practice that right. Absolutely. Now, I would encourage everyone who's getting a gun, regardless of your political affiliation, your race, your sex, etc., to practice safe firearm upkeep and firearm safety training. But absolutely, you should exercise. What even that lefty that was talking to Vaush said, that's not what you're saying, Vaush. You're not saying just arm yourself to be ready against tyranny. You're saying go on the offense. Attack them first. Vaush literally said to shoot people like the Patriot Prayer people that are legally open carrying. Now, Legend of Sean, either one came in afterwards, or probably two heard me say this and doesn't give a shit because they can't win a debate. They have to misrepresent the facts. That is exactly what he did, Judas Red. That's exactly what he did. He equivocated being armed with the call for shooting people who are open carrying. That's what he equivocated there. Notice all these people on the left are not saying, damn, that was really heinous what Vaush was saying there. That was despicable. Notice they ain't saying that. They're saying, oh, you're against the Second Amendment all of a sudden. Notice that? Show me the clip of right-wingers saying, go out and shoot armed left-wingers. Go ahead, show me the clip. I'll be like, disgusting, despicable. That person should probably be checked on to make sure that they're not going to commit violence. But they can't do it. Remember, I don't know, Aftershock might remember this. Remember I was on a panel, I think maybe CTV was on it, for sure American Nacho was on it. And there were like 3 or 4 right-wingers and 3 or 4 left-wingers. And I said, let me do something right here. Everyone on the right, let me ask you to raise your hand. Are you willing to condemn all political violence, even if it comes on the right? All 4 right-wingers raised their hand, or 3, whatever it was. But all the right-wingers raised their hand immediately. Then I said, left-wingers, are you willing to condemn all these forms of political violence, even if it occurs on the left? None of them raised their hand. Well, that's it in a nutshell. I think you're right. I think the Turk was there as well. Why? Why send the Vaush clips to the FBI? So they could pay him? So they could applaud him and pat him on the back? Our FBI is one of our most corrupt institutions. What are they going to do? Fucking send those clips, have Vaush help them gather some right-winger in some terror plot so they could arrest him at the last minute, like with the Whitmer shit? No, I'm against abortion. At least I've made my stance. I'm done with abortion for now. Yeah, I get what you're saying, young Etika. Don't get me wrong. When are we going to start... Again, what they accuse the right of is exactly what they are. I mean, Vaush could have made it a... What happens if the Republicans win? Are we just going to accept their laws? No. We will fight back. It'll be kill or be killed. We're not going to accept their laws. That's what he said. This is a person who will sit there and say, what happened on January 6th was a coup. Why do they engage in the hypocrisy and the double standards? Because they don't care about what they're claiming to, but they know you do. Vaush doesn't give a shit that January 6th, in his eyes, was some terrible thing. He would absolutely have his side do much worse if they felt they lost political and cultural power. He has the good fortune of his side dominating culturally right now. Now, I called this out for years. I said, if you think violence from groups like Antifa is bad now, wait until the cultural pendulum swings away from them. Wait until Antifa is culturally looked at like we look at right-wing extremist groups now. Wait until that happens. All of a sudden, the violence will go through the roof. They're committing this violence in places like Portland in places like Seattle, where basically the people in institutions totally agree with them and make excuses for them, and they're committing this amount of violence. What happens when that institutional power goes away? Well, they're only going to be left with one tactic: more violence. And they will erroneously think they could continue to get away with it. They won't. Just like they made excuse after excuse with the riots that occurred when Donald Trump won in 2016. And we saw all these articles that said business owners in cities across the country boarding up before the 2020 election. They weren't worried that Biden was going to win. They weren't worried that Trump supporters were going to go loot their stores. They knew. All of us knew. We all knew. Everyone knew. The lefties pretended it wasn't the case. Oh, we don't know. Just like the bullshit articles you saw coming out the past couple weeks. Biden administration is worried that after this Roe v. Wade decision's made public, there could be violence. Which side? Just curious. Which side do you think is going to commit the violence? Think the side that's happy that it got overturned? Or do you think the side that's pissed off that it got overturned? But we have to pretend. We all have to pretend. Oh, we don't know. Violence on all sides. Everything's bad. Bullshit. We had to pretend at Charlottesville, where yes, a bunch of heinous alt-righters were, who were starting shit. But we had to pretend the other side didn't have people starting shit. A bunch of fuckhead LARPers went to engage in mutual combat, and sadly a girl lost her life because some asshole ran her over. And he's been charged for that crime. But let's not pretend. I watched those videos. I saw the people with shields and clubs on the left showing up. Two sets of assholes fighting each other. Not everyone on the left, not everyone on the right. But we had to pretend. That's what Trump's comment was about. He worded it clumsily, but basically he got tired of seeing the assholes on the left, the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter people, that went there to fight, being treated like heroes. Because he could see what was going on before at places like Berkeley, where they were beating the shit out of people that wanted to see Milo Yiannopoulos speak. Remember, they were beating people there, beating people that wanted to go see Ben Shapiro speak. Do I think we'll ever reach the point? I don't know. No, I don't know. 50% chance? I like to think no. I'm going to keep pushing that it doesn't get to that level. Of course there will be more violence. I just hope it's not massive scaled. But yes, if the Republicans win in 2022 and 2024, we'll see riots again all over the country.
But Rob, the reason they were rioting was George Floyd.
That's mine. No, it wasn't. That might have been the spark. But the reason the riots were so widespread, for God's sakes, there were riots in England. Why? They were rioting in England because a police officer in Milwaukee? Bullshit. We live in a country with, I figured this out before, over 1 million law enforcement officers. Everyone has one of these. There are trillions, I believe, law enforcement interactions in this country a year. When you figure that each law enforcement person probably has, let's say, 5-6 interactions. So I guess billions, we'll say. Billions. Inevitably, you'll be able to find a cop doing something shitty to whatever group you want. White person, black person, man, woman, trans person, drag queen, straight person, Christian, atheist, Muslim. Eventually, you'll be able to find a clip. There you go. Broadcast clip, there you go. Now, there's your excuse. And I think what's important to know is, listen to Vaush's rhetoric there. And then listen to him when he talks about the policies that he finds are so offensive or so bigoted, like Georgia's voting law. it was going to be the end of... Like, how many times have we heard Democrats say these things? That laws passed in places that are right-wing. My God, it's going to be the end of the country. This Georgia voting law, my God, it's going to... Black people won't know how to vote. They're just, well, we can't get bottles of water. Black people will be dying of thirst in limes. My God, oh, the humanity of it. My God, they won't know what to do. Because Democrats treat black people like they're little children that don't know how to do complicated things like get an ID. Of course they know how to. It's Jim Crow on steroids. It's Jim Eagle, right? Isn't that what Biden said? And then we have record turnout. Whoops. Well, remember Florida? One second.
The day you get your Clear Choice dental implants makes every day a let's dig in day.
For God's sake,
day. A love my new
I hope
teeth
this is
day.
what I'm looking
Because
for.
a Clear Choice day.
Remember we were told how bad Florida was going to be?
Schedule a free consultation.
This isn't it. Here we go. This is the type of stuff. Remember, Vaush says we can't accept these dangerous, bigoted laws or laws that are dangerous passed by right-wingers. And then this is the sort of shit Democrats say, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of your cabin crew, we'd like to inform you that we have officially entered Florida airspace. Now that we're making our final descent, please watch this short message from Governor Ron DeSantis on COVID-19. Thereafter, everyone on board will be required to comply with the state's forever purge.
Forever
purge. We are not doing any vaccine passports in the state of Florida. We trust people to make their own decisions in this state. We are not going to be bludgeoning people with restrictions and mandates and lockdowns or any of that stuff.
As Governor DeSantis stated, while you're within state lines, you do not have to wear a mask. You do not have to get a vaccine. It is against the law for private businesses or schools to mandate masks or vaccines. And you have the absolute right to infect whoever you want, whenever, and wherever with COVID-19. Thank you for traveling with us, and please, enjoy your forever purge.
COVID-19 is surging again.
This is the time to double down.
The governor is doubling down. He says students shouldn't be forced to wear masks.
If you are trying to lock people down, I'm going to stand in your way.
Florida just requested 300 new ventilators. Hospitals are filling up here.
There is evidence that children are making up much higher cases that are emerging.
The numbers continue to rise across Florida.
This fall, don't breathe in.
This is insane.
The Forever Purge. Coming to a theater and live streaming networks near you.
There you have it. There's the Democrats' ad. See, that's the type of stuff Vaush would say. Oh my God, what are you going to do? Accept their disastrous policies? They're going to kill you all. They'll kill you. See? And many Democrats were arguing this shit. It's why I've argued over and over. They were saying that Florida was going to be hell on earth. That's the argument we were being told. And now they're like, well, but it was 16th in per capita deaths when it could have been 12th. That's not what you said. You said it was going to be the Forever Purge. Oh yeah, it definitely ends up being pro-DeSantis. That's what I said at the time. That was in September of 2021. How'd that work out? Surely places like New York and New Jersey, left-wing places that, they had those sort of massive policies, lockdown policies. Surely they did better. Let's look at per capita death rates as of May 17th. Oh, what's that? New Jersey? It's worse than Florida? Oh, what's that? New York's worse than Florida? Huh. Turns out Florida's basically right in the middle. And we would expect, due to its high population density and elderly population, to actually be much worse, to be one of the worst states. You lived it, you made it, Frank? You made it for the Forever Purge? Is it okay to punch a Nazi? Sure. Okay, and all my opponents are Nazis. You see? You see how easy it is? Oh yeah, I'll post that link for anyone that wanted to see it. Yeah, you're right, Elmo. They talked about the number of cases. Remember then the big thing was, oh, yeah, but they're hiding the number of deaths. They're hiding the number of deaths. Remember that? Turns out it was New York that was hiding the number of deaths, which Democrats didn't care about, left-wingers didn't care about. But remember that woman? What was her name? Rebecca Jones? Let's just take a look at what they were saying. Remember, the whistleblower came forward. Here, look. Still, if you go type in Florida whistleblower, this is the top stories on Twitter. COVID whistleblower Rebecca Jones is challenging Matt Gaetz. The scientist who said she was fired by DeSantis for refusing to censor Florida's COVID numbers says Tuesday she's trying to unseat Gaetz. Florida COVID whistleblowers say she may run for Congress. Florida Department of Health Office Inspector General found that Rebecca Jones' complaint has credibility. Every time we see coronavirus out of Florida, remember they fired the whistleblower. Let's just type her name. The whistleblower for 4 years who spread conspiracy theories about Florida hiding COVID deaths has once again been discredited and proven to be lying. The leftist media hyped and eagerly spread her lies without once ever checking them. Florida IG report. Insufficient evidence for DeSantis critics' claims of whistleblowing. Found that they were unsubstantiated and officials were exonerated in another claim. She made unsubstantiated claims of scrubbing COVID data. But every time I talked to someone about Florida's numbers, they said, Florida's hiding them. Florida said, didn't you see there was a whistleblower that said Florida was hiding the numbers? Geez, it turns out that was a lie. But you know who was hiding the numbers was New York. Anything to say about that? Right, computer carnage. Remember when Destiny, when I said that Cuomo was hiding the number of people that died in nursing homes through his disastrous policy in New York? And Destiny said, and I'm quoting, what is he hiding the bodies in the ocean? Funny how I was right about that all along, huh? But I was called a crazy conspiracy theorist. That's what they called me. Oh, that's right, Aftershock. Every one of those studies they do, right-wingers commit more political violence. Then you look at it and it's like, okay, I seem to remember hundreds upon hundreds of incidents of political violence after the George Floyd thing, and suspiciously they're not there. And they'll say things like, we didn't consider the Black Lives Matter riots to be, we didn't consider that to be political violence. Right, just like Fort Hood was workplace violence and not domestic terrorism. Just like the person that shot Steve Scalise and Republicans in the ball field was suicide by cop, not political terrorism. You see? When you semantically change the definitions to say only right-wing terrorism could be terrorism and then go, shockingly, right-wingers commit more terrorism. Right, because you've defined it that these left-wing terror actions aren't really terror actions. That's right, old gamer Mike. You're gonna find the same problem in Michigan. You're going to find the same problem in Pennsylvania. That the amount of people that died in nursing homes is being conflated and hidden. Why won't you go back to the right, John? What's your problem with the right? Let's talk about it. Let's convince someone to come away from the dark side. Give me what your big issue with why you won't come back to the right is. You don't have to, by the way. Sure, think about it for a second. Alestro fighting with Aftershock. That's something good. By the way, can we get a round of applause for my friend Aftershock finally being out of Twitch jail? Great to see you back. And again, all of those Vaush clips that I shared earlier today was only because Aftershock was able to timestamp them. So I'm incredibly thankful. Thank you so much. Before I forget, I got a decent amount of people watching. Tomorrow evening, the Crucible is doing a special this week where they are... So the Crucible runs a Discord. For those that don't know, the Crucible is a YouTube channel. They also have Twitch. They have a bunch... They're on many platforms. And they, I feel, are the best debate platform that is online at this point. I think that they are the best moderators. I think that they have the best guests. I enjoy debating there more than anywhere else. On their Discord channel, they have a lot of people that don't come on and debate, but that do debates on their Discord channel, but they're not really people that routinely stream. And so Andrew, or Big Papa Fascist, is setting up having some of those people debate bigger streamers or bigger debaters. I don't know that I qualify as a big streamer, but I think I qualify as a pretty damn good debater. So tomorrow evening, thanks so much, Bandit, for the subscription. Tomorrow evening at 9 p.m., I will be debating someone who goes by the name Heathen. At least that's their Twitter handle. And they reached out to me, and they wanted to debate me and asked if I would be interested in debating student loan cancellation. And I said, sure. So I won't have a lot of time to prep for that debate, but I already debated that sort of on a panel, and I kind of know what I'm going to say. So I think it should be an interesting debate. I assume that they're for canceling student loan debt. I'm against it, so it should be a fun debate. And then some point later this week, I'm also going to be defending my championship on the Crucible, not in any serious debate format, but in what they call the randomizer debates, which are one-on-one debate with someone else. It'll be like 10 topics, and the topics are absurd. So they'll ask me to defend communism, or they'll ask, thanks so much, Old Gamer Mike. Thank you so much for the subs. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I find the student loan debate to be boring as well. But nonetheless, just this randomizer debate, it's designed to be funny. It's not like a serious thing, but I'm really good at thinking on my feet and being funny, so I think that it'll be fun. I don't know who I'm debating on that, but it'll be a fun little thing. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. So yeah, John says, the reason I don't like Vaush is, you like Vaush a lot less now, is because he's turning into, well, a Tucker or any other right-wing populist, but you guys fearmonger issues that just don't matter as much as you think they do. Give me an example. Give me an example of me or a right-winger or Tucker fearmongering about an issue that you don't think matters. Give me an example. White replacement immigration certainly matters. You don't think immigration matters? Regardless of what your take on it is. You don't think millions upon millions of people coming to our borders every couple of months is a big deal? I like Tucker as well. But even if you're on the left, you don't think that's a big deal? You don't think immigration like that, which enhances the cartels, which leads to the number one cause of death for young people in this country, 18 to 45, which is fentanyl overdose? You don't think that's a big deal? Even if you're for relaxing our immigration system to allow more legals in, clearly it's a huge issue. We were told simultaneously that we had to have passports to even go to work to say we were vaccinated, and that we couldn't freely travel, while we let hundreds of thousands of people through the border that were COVID positive. So if you think COVID was a big issue, surely you think the immigration issue is big, the border. If you think fentanyl is big, surely you think the border and immigration is a big issue. If you think well, that's your opinion. That's not the case. The average illegal immigrant encourages lower wages. They might raise our GDP, but it comes almost exclusively at the cost of people that are low-income workers, particularly people without high school educations. They mostly compete in the areas where they live in low-skilled labor, which happens to be inner cities, which happens to be a lot of black people. Your belief that they just contribute to society economically is just that, an opinion. It doesn't mean that it's not an important issue. For example, I've been studying immigration for 30 years, but 2016 was the first time my research was cited in a convention speech. Neither side's revealing the whole picture. The second message might be hard for many Americans to process, but anyone who tells you that immigration doesn't have negative effects doesn't understand how it really works. When the supply of workers goes up, the price that firms have to pay to hire workers goes down. Wage trends over the past half-century suggest that a 10% increase in the number of workers with a particular skill set probably lowers the wage of that group by at least 3%. Even after the economy is fully adjusted, those skill groups that receive the most immigrants will still offer lower pay relative to those that receive fewer immigrants. We don't have to rely on complex statistical calculations to see the harm being done to workers. Simply look at how employers have reacted. A decade ago, Kreider Inc., a chicken processing plant in Georgia, was raided by immigration agents, and 75% of its workforce vanished over a single weekend. Shortly after, Kreider placed an ad in the local newspaper announcing job openings at higher wages. Similarly, the flood of recent news reports on the abuse of H-1B visa programs shows that firms will quickly dismiss their current tech force when they find cheaper immigrant workers. But that's only one side of the story. Somebody's lower wage is always somebody else's higher profit. In this case, immigration redistributes wealth from those who compete with immigrants to those who use immigrants, from the employee to the employer. And the additional profits are so large that the economic pie accruing to all natives actually grows. I estimate the current immigration surplus, the net increase in total wealth of the native population, to be almost $50 billion annually. But behind that calculation is a much larger shift from one group of Americans to another. The total wealth redistribution from the native losers to the native winners is enormous, roughly $500 billion a year. Immigrants, too, gain substantially. Their total earnings far exceed what their income would have been had they not migrated. When we look at the overall value of immigration, there's one more complicating factor. Immigrants receive government assistance at higher rates than natives. The higher cost of all the services provided to immigrants and the lower taxes they pay because they have lower earnings inevitably implies that on a year-to-year basis, immigration creates a fiscal hole of at least $50 billion, a burden that falls on the native population. What does it all add up to? The fiscal burden offsets the gain from the $50 billion immigration surplus, so it's not too far-fetched to conclude that immigration has barely affected the total wealth of the natives at all. Instead, it has changed how the pie is split, with the losers, the workers who compete with immigrants, many of those being low-skilled Americans, sending roughly $500 billion check annually to the winners. Those winners are primarily the employers, and the immigrants themselves come out ahead. Put bluntly, immigration turns out to be just another income redistribution program. Illegal immigration is a huge boon for corporations that leftists claim to hate. They're making huge piles of money on the deal. While it is true that many Hispanics tend to be more conservative, overwhelmingly, illegal immigrants that would be given amnesty would vote for the group that gave them amnesty, which would be Democrats. And by the way, Republicans at the establishment level also like illegal immigration. That's why they were basically telling Trump to shut up about this issue. They like the cheap labor that their businesses lobbyists give. The left likes the same cheap labor that their business lobbyists get, and they like sort of the change in way people vote. They're more pliable. They're more dependent on the government, which means they're more likely. People that are more reliant on government programs are more likely to vote for the party that continues to support those programs. Right. I don't hate corporations, but at the same time, these issues are fixable through government wealth redistribution. So we accept a bunch of illegal immigrants, and then we say, oh, they're causing problems, they're benefiting corporations. Now we have the government step in and redistribute the wealth from those. Right. The issues would not be solved with amnesty. They wouldn't. Let me ask you this, John. How many immigrants a year, particularly the illegal ones, can we afford to take? If you think they should all be given amnesty, is there a cap on how many we could accept? Just curious. What do you think happens once we tell the millions upon millions of illegals? What do we have? Record numbers now. Let's see how many Now, these are just the ones that are counted and apprehended. So, we're at all-time highs, 20-year highs. So you can see per month we are at, in the month of April 2022, 234,000 a month. You can see these numbers are incredibly higher than just 2020. So you're saying all of them should be allowed in. What do you think happens when that... Do you have a maximum? If they contribute to the... Right. So I suggest that maybe you need to think about this problem a little more, right? If they contribute to the economy, what's the problem? You don't think there's an upper limit then? 230,000 a month? No problem. No problem. What do you think happens once we accept those 230,000? Right. So, there you have it. Right, Mitch. We probably don't want you on the right, John. I appreciate you coming and listening to me, but we don't want you. We don't. We don't. You're thinking of this in a childish way. It's very childish. I debated, I was on a panel once, Vaush was on it, and there was a guy who called himself a black libertarian or black anarchist. He called himself a black anarchist. And he said, we owe reparations all over the world, the United States does. For countries that we've screwed up. We owe reparations to them. Billions of dollars per country. Maybe trillions, he was saying. I said, okay, I'll humor you. How do we pay for them? Anyone remember what he said? How do we pay these trillions? We print the money. Just print it. It's okay. Just print the money. That's the same mentality as, sure, there's no upper limit. If 5 billion people decide they want to come to the United States, absolutely. We accept 5 billion people. It'd all be good. There is no upper limit. More people equals more money, period. There are no negative harms. More people good. No upper limit. That's a person who's either so indoctrinated that they're incapable of seeing the flaws in their logic, or is so ignorant they can't see how stupid they're being. No, the negative harms don't come from lack of amnesty. For example, let's just make it as simple as, I have a home. And in my home I have a wife and a son. And in my home is, we'll say 3 bedrooms. Right? And you might say, Rob, if you would take a roommate in, your mortgage, that'd pay part of your mortgage. Why don't you take a roommate in and charge him $400 a month? I say, brilliant plan. Sounds great. And they say, well, the first roommate worked out for you. Why don't you take a second roommate? Okay. That second one worked out. Why don't you take a third roommate? Okay. That third one worked out. Why don't you take a 50th roommate? Sounds great. More money. Less mortgage. I'll be raking in the dough. Raking it in, right? I'm kicking ass. 50 people. Why not 1,000 people living in my home? Why not? No upper limit. Believing pros outweigh cons still comes with a limit. You'd have to say, clearly there's a point where there would be more cons than pros. There has to be some limit. And we're not even talking culturally. We're not even talking about human trafficking, fentanyl distribution, and shit like that. We're just talking pure economic numbers right now. John, what are you talking? John, your comment makes no sense. He says that's just reality. Is your argument basically just that we have a responsibility to natives if they commit crime, but not migrants? What are you talking about? Where did I mention anything with crime? Our responsibility to natives if they commit crime is, if you're a native citizen of this country, you're beholden to the laws of this country. We don't just banish you, we send you to jail. If you're not a native of this country, you aren't protected by our Constitution and things like that. We are under no obligation to say, oh, well, we have to take you in and treat you as if we would anyone in this country. There has been no country in the world that has operated its completely open borders. It's impossible. And what's more is, let me ask you this, John. Let me ask you another question. Do you believe in free education? Do you think college should be free? Do you believe in Medicare for all? Do you think healthcare should be free? They don't commit less crime than natives generally. Those stats are misskewed. For example, all of them are committing a crime by coming here illegally, so per capita, they all are committing crime almost. The amounts of crimes such as identity theft is through the roof with illegal immigrants. That is a serious crime, and if you've ever been a victim of it, it has serious consequences. What you're talking about is violent crime that was tried at the federal level, right? But most violent crime isn't tried at the federal level. Right. My guess is John would say, sure, we'd have free health care for people, and yeah, there should be free education. And there should be no limit on how many people could come to this country. So he would say the 230,000 that we catch at the border next month, we should leave them all in and give them all amnesty. That's what he would say. Then the following month, we'd have 500,000. He'd say, leave them all in, give them all amnesty, give them free health care, give them free welfare benefits, give them free education. Then the next month we'd have 1 million come. He'd say, bring them all in. Yep, give them all that free shit. Then we'd have 1 million the next month. Yep, bring them all in. And that's what it would be. And the number would exponentially get higher until the country was so shitty that people didn't want to come. And why wouldn't you? Free community college, right? There you go. Free community. Hi, come on all in. 5 million people want to come next month. Come on in. Head to community college. Have at her. Here's some Obamacare for you. You got it. No, he says that it's all good. It's all good. There's no upper limit. There'd be no overwhelming of systems. Now, keep in mind, this is his issue. He says, oh, this is why I'd never be a right-winger, because right-wingers talking about unimportant issues like immigration. I mean, they're just being hyperbolic that we're just trying to bring people in. But I do believe that we shouldn't have a border and all illegals should have total amnesty. So, yep. Thanks so much, John. Done interacting with you. I do appreciate the conversation, though. Don't we want more education systems? Yeah, let's bring in 1 million illegals a month and give them community college. Wouldn't that be better for us? No, the consequences aren't due to other issues. That's nonsense. Yeah. The Vaush community will accept you with open arms. You can be part of that community. That's fine. That is so many of these. Yeah, right, Bionic. How many of these immigrants is John keeping under his own roof? There's no limit to how many he should. It's all good. They commit crime less than probably his family. Right? They're all hard workers. They would increase his financial situation. Surely he has a dozen illegal immigrants living in his home. Right, John? You're not invited to the Rob House. If you're ever in the area and you're a reasonable person, you could stop in to visit. But you can't live here. Yeah, 1 billion people from India. Why not? It's just childish. You don't have to explain this. It's not worth it, right? I'm not saying John's a bad guy. I'm saying John's ignorant. All right. Right, John says, I would never take someone I don't know under my roof for sure. Man, you have to love these people. There you have it. There you have it. How could you know who to trust? He wouldn't leave him in his home. Dana, that's part of it, but... Right, and then you can see... And then this is where John goes. You see? There we go. Now you see. John says, do you think there's inherent... Oh, sorry. Do you guys see me in my back? Crashed on YouTube for sure. Alright, yeah. Sorry to the YouTube people. John got me. I mean, that's immediately what he comes to. Oh, so if you're against complete amnesty for all illegal immigrations and anyone who comes here wanting to come in, does that mean you inherently think white people are good? That's the mindset. No, I wasn't even getting click happy. It just said, that was the first time that ever happened. It came up with little white bucks that said, OBS has just crashed. Do you want to send a crash log? No, John. What about what I said makes you think that where did I remotely mention skin color, for example? Where did I say anything about Americans being more moral or white people being more moral? Where did I say anything close to? By the way, some of the people that are the most vocal anti-illegal immigration happen to be Hispanic people. It's one of the big reasons that they're voting Republican more. Do they also think, is their stance also, would you ask them, if I was Hispanic and said, I'm first generation, I came here from El Salvador, I came the right way, it took me 5 years to come in to get my green card, I passed my citizenship test, I started a business, I employ people, but I'm from El Salvador, I'm Hispanic. Would you say, oh, if you're against illegal immigration, do you think that white people are inherently more valuable? Is that what you would say to me? Is that what you're going with? So would you ask that person, oh, do you think Hispanic, are you saying this country's for you as a Hispanic? It has nothing to do with who you're arguing. The fact that you took it to a racial place shows that you definitely belong in the Vaush community. That is a firm place for you. That's right where you should be. You should try to work your way out of that. You should. But that's right where you need to be. That's the mentality that you have. You're right there with the, if I don't like someone, I should shoot at them. Vaush people, who thinks we should shoot open carrying people at Patriot Prayer rallies. That's where you are. You're right there with the, and if you don't agree with the policies of me, it must be because of race. I could soy about it. Is that what I'm doing? I'm soy about? I would say the fact that you asked that was pretty soy yourself. No, I don't think there's anything inherently better about white people. Do you think that there's something inherently worse about Native Americans that are citizens here? Do you think that there's something that's worse? The only person that's so to qualify in any sort of ethical framework was you. You said that you think that Americans commit more crime. So you think Americans are worse than people from other countries, correct? That's what you think. And the fact that you made it racially, then I could assume you think white people are worse, because you seem to identify Americans as white people. So you're saying that white people are worse than other races, correct? That's what you're saying, correct? Americans and white people are worse than other races, correct? That's your stance? It's okay. It's okay. You fit right in with Vaush, with that community, with that sort of racist mentality. Now, for those of us who weren't talking about race, or implying even in the slightest way that one race was better than another, yeah. Only racists think of America as white, right? John has outed himself. Got it. Yeah. So, thanks so much, John. I reiterate, I thought I argued in good faith, trying to bring a member of the Vaush community more to the right. But we don't want racist. There are racists that identify on the right. I fight with them. We don't need another one of you. Okay? You keep your racist ideas in your community with Vaush. Sound good? No. You don't have to walk around eggshells. You're welcome to stay here. We just don't want you as a member of you. By the way, does anyone see? Right? That is what's happening. Just to clarify. Did anybody see my numbers just go from 154 down to 92? And it was right at the time when my stream crashed? Just saying, that's the second time in a row that that's happened. I already answered the question, and then I asked you the question and you didn't answer. Yeah, it says 62 now. It said I had 154 people earlier. Right when I crashed, it went up, it spiked to 154. It's exactly what it did the other night. Spiked real fast, crashed, and then the numbers dwindled once I came back. Listen, John, I don't know if you're a racist or not. I wasn't saying anything remotely connected to race. I wasn't saying that white people were superior. I've never made such a claim. I wasn't saying that Americans are in some way superior. What I am saying is, let me ask you this. John, are you saying that people in your home, whether it be yourself or others, are superior to other people? For example, I live with my wife and my son. Am I saying that they're superior, they're better people? I love them. I'll stick up for them first. But I don't think that they're genetically better than anyone around. Wouldn't you feel the same way? Would it be ridiculous for someone to imply, if you said, well, I care first and foremost about my family and the people that live under my roof, would it be ridiculous for someone to then ask you, oh, are you saying they're superior because of their racial makeup? Is that what you're saying? You would say that's absurd. That is an absurd claim. I'm not saying they're racially superior. I'm not even saying they're superior. I'm saying that my home is about protecting the people that live within my home first and foremost. I don't wish ill to anyone in any other home. But I have to support and protect the people in my home first and foremost. Doesn't mean I go out and rob the neighbors. But that does mean if the neighbors say, we want to live here now, I say, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. It has nothing to do with get it out of the way. Right? That's a mentality that someone like you would have. That someone is coming from the left. If you think that you've been blackpilled by Vaush, you ought to understand that that's a big part of the reason. That sort of extremism happens. Because you think, well, we have to get it out. You would never suggest it the opposite way. If you had a black person that was on here saying the same thing, like, hey, we don't want mass illegal immigration, you would never in a million years go, oh, is that because you think black people are superior? You wouldn't ask them that. You know it. You know you wouldn't. The fact that you're viewing this through a racial lens is half the problem. Okay, there we go. There are bad people in my home, right? Like killers and drug dealers. What the fuck are you talking about? You're not making any sense whatsoever. You're making the exact opposite point that you think you are. Who said Americans couldn't be good people? Or couldn't be bad people? Who said that? What does this point have to do with anything? Think of what you're saying here. Think of how your brain's operating. You're like, okay, someone said they have a problem with 250,000 people a month coming to the border. And me saying we should let them all in and give them amnesty every month with no end, no maximum top point. Right? And someone's like, I think that's an extreme position. I think that would overwhelm our system in a myriad of ways. That's a childish way to think of it. So you're like, why could they possibly come to this conclusion? And here's the answers you've came up to in your head. One, they must be saying that white people are superior. And two, they must be saying that Americans can't be bad. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you thinking? What has nothing to do with making a point with text? It doesn't logically fit. For example, let's go back to our home example. Let's say that a mother and father have 3 kids, 16, 17, and 20. And the 17-year-old has been convicted of theft and is a drug addict. But they still love that drug addict. And they still have them in the home. And they're trying to help that person get better. Them saying, I don't want the neighbors moving into our home, doesn't mean that they're saying, oh, that means that there's no drug addicts in our home. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even make sense. Oh, so there's killers in your house, right? What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, every society will have criminals, outlaws, undesirables, etc. And yes, those societies should deal with those people through legal means, through having a legal system that offers them, I think, due process. And then once they get due process afforded to them and go through the legal system, then they should be punished accordingly. And if that system says that they've committed an offense that says that they go to jail or they pay a fine, they should do that. What does that have to do with illegal immigration? That's right, Judas Red. In John's eyes, the 17-year-old should be kicked to the curb and the family should be forced to take in another 17-year-old, yeah. You say the home metaphor is stupid because we don't own the home. It's like a public space. Adding more people to that public space. If you contribute, there's no reason to be against it except a nationalist lens. Define public space. Who owns public space? Who owns it? What makes something a public space? So, for example, we have public national parks. Who owns that national park? Who owns it? Who pays for the upkeep? Anyone? Anyone know who owns it? Yeah, the people. Our government that owns things doesn't actually own anything. That's the people own it. The citizens. The public. That's who owns it. So it is like bringing people. It would be like if me and you and Aftershock and Bruce all bought an apartment complex and moved all of our family in. You don't get to say, well, then you have to move anyone who wants in. Because the public, you as the public owns this. Show me one country in history that it's been open borders, complete open borders. Show me one. Show me one. Second question. You say if they're contributing, they should be allowed to stay. Okay, so we shouldn't accept anyone who needs any form of welfare, correct? In fact, does that mean people that receive welfare in the United States now should be booted out? They have no more right to be here than an immigrant. An illegal that would need to receive welfare, right? So, first question, can you name me a country that's been open borders, that hasn't enforced borders? That's number one. And second, do you think we should kick out people that need welfare? I mean, I hate to admit it, but this is what should happen. The EU does not have open borders. Go ahead, move to England then. Go ahead. Move to Denmark. Move to Sweden. Go ahead, go. They don't. None of them. In fact, most of them enforce... Just because there's free travel between the EU states doesn't mean that there's open borders. You can't just pick up and move. In fact, many EU states actually enforce their borders far more stringently than the United States does. What are you talking about? So what country would you stop immigration from? So now you're saying you'll accept any South American, but we should be allowed to stop immigration from other countries. Give me the example of the country you want to stop immigration from. This is great. Now we're getting great. It always my God. It always gets... Oh, man. I can't wait to hear this argument. Holy cow. So, just so we're all on the same page here, this guy's like, of course you stop immigrants coming in from certain countries, just not South American countries. So now he's going to give us the example of the countries that he stops it from. Right. Is it... He only wants to import from countries that aren't white, so he doesn't want England, he doesn't want France, he doesn't want Spain, but he wants South America. I can't wait to hear his list of countries we can accept and countries we can't. They don't care, Andrew. The answer is, and it's a good question. Andrew says, what if China wants to send half their population? So they send 500 million, and then they all vote to revoke the Constitution and give all the wealth of the United States to China. No, what are you talking about, John? I'll reread your comment. You said, and I quote, I don't disagree that we should be able to stop migration from a country. My argument is there is no reason to do it with South American countries. Okay, then give me the country that you think there's a reason for us to stop migration from. Who are you talking to, Rick Sky? Most righties don't talk about Trump every day. It's lefties. Is that who you're talking about? Yeah, JB, this guy has no idea what they're talking about. None. I mean, anyone who can't admit there's an upper limit to how many people a country can accept, it's not even worth wasting my breath on. Right. Now he doesn't have a country. But the right is there. So you have the right to prevent immigration from certain countries. He doesn't know what countries those would be. Got it? You got it? We can't stop illegal immigration from coming into Mexico, but theoretically we should be allowed to stop. So all of his arguments about, well, you know, we have, why should we be able to tell people they don't come here? Out the fucking window, because he says, well, absolutely, we should have the right to do so, we just shouldn't. Yeah. Good luck, John. We're done interacting with John here, but that's open border people in a nutshell. Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant, Andrew. Yeah, I got it. No, we're done dealing with him, Galil. I don't think he's a bad person. I just think... but yeah, we'll see you. Yeah, I mean, watch my show more often. I talk about Trump very rarely. Most of the time I'm talking about Trump, it's because the left's talking about Trump and I'm responding to them. It's not even close. The people who bring Trump up the most are by far left. I prefer Ron DeSantis. I'm sure John has a rich history of embracing conservative cause ideals and voting Republican. Now he's a Vaush fan. I don't disagree, JB. It's that Key Lime. Key Lime's unbanned, I believe, so it shouldn't be him. But, I mean, it's like, I'm thinking of, like, honest to goodness, I'm thinking of just taking my show into a just leave left-wingers call in show every day. I forgot to actually check my Discord. Because, I mean, the other day I got the Canadian Black Lives Matter white privilege supporter. It took me all of 10 seconds to get him to admit he wants to strip black people of guns in the country. Yeah, sure, Ogre, post it. As long as something doesn't violate terms of service, people can post whatever they want. Just be reasonable. Oh, I know. If I became a left-winger, I would make tons of money. John, I'm done dealing with you. Sorry. I'm not strawmanning you. You've said that you don't believe there's any cap on how many people we should have. That there are some countries that we should restrict, that we have the right to restrict immigration from, but not South American countries. So, oh, my friend Dylan Burns, how you doing, sir? My audience extremely dislikes you, I think, Dylan. But, are you safe? Can you give us an update? Are you in Ukraine? I don't know if you're in Poland or Ukraine. Either way, I hope you're being safe. I thought that I'd read that you were in Ukraine. Well, I think you're being treated very fairly. I spent the majority of the past half an hour talking exclusively to you, and I took everything you said at face value. And I don't think I'm being unfair at all. You have to if you don't realize that it's a ridiculous set of arguments to say, I believe that there is no number of people I would say would become a problem to accept. If 5 billion people come, so be it. That's good. More people, always better. If you can't see that that's sort of a ridiculous, even open border people, you're the first open border person I've ever met that said that. Even open border people would say, well, of course there's a limit. We don't know what that limit is, but it's going to be a long time till we reach that limit. That's what most open border people say. But not you. You say, no, there's no limit. Then you make this absurd claim that we could restrict immigration from some countries and not others. Then you say, you ask me if I think white people are better than others, which came out of left field. I mean, it's just crazy. Dylan says, I'm in Ukraine, not streaming at the moment due to working on a big project that requires a lot of movement and safety precautions, staying out of the headlines. Well, I do hope you're safe. I really do. Regardless, yeah, people are going to shit on... I hope you haven't joined the Azov battalion. People are asking. But regardless of what our disagreements may be on the particular situation with policy towards what we should be doing to Ukraine, you went there. That's something. And I do hope that you're being safe. I really do. And I hope that not only you're being safe, I hope you're getting what you want out of it. I do. So, get home safe so I could argue with you and call you a meathead and things like that. But, but this video was showing clips of Vaush being bad. I'll play this clip again. I can't believe he actually said this. I mean, I can, because it's Vaush. But... And again, I repeat this. I don't want... People could do what they want. I cannot stress, I do not want anyone banned. I don't want anyone reporting any... Unless they make a direct threat to me personally, I just don't leave them say what they want. So I'm not doing this because I want people to say, wow. But I just can't believe that this sort of shit's being said. Of course, then people showed me clips of Destiny saying...
Please, you think this is what's going to happen? So federal laws are going to be made, and then police officers from states are going to be fighting with...
This superfood...
wait, we got an ad.
Every...
Give me a second. Stupid. Listen, for those saying that I need an ad blocker, let me explain what happened briefly. So I took my computer to get fixed, and part of the fixing of my laptop here, they had to like restore it to factory. So I'm just now getting back into using this computer. And the problem is that I can't because I'm on my internet through work, I'm very limited in being able to download things like ad blockers and stuff because the network won't let me download things. So I don't have my ad blocker up. I will be taking this computer home and then I'll get that. Forget about Destiny here. Good, Dylan. I'm glad to hear that, man. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. There we go. Try again. Here's Vaush explaining who we need to shoot at.
Please.
But like others will say like, no, don't do that. There might be attempts at ousting. Remember during the Black Lives Matter rallies, there were like those Patriot Prayer dumb fucks rolling their, $60,000 trucks through like urban neighborhoods with a bunch of guys with guns in the pickup trucks. When that happens, I want people to be able to take shots at them from apartment windows.
Take shit. They weren't. There's a.
There you have it. Left-wing streamer Vaush with a lot of fans talks about shooting people that are legally open carrying. And he proceeds to say that we're on the verge of a genocide. And like the Jews, we should take up arms and it's kill or be killed and take them out before they get us. But not really. Not really. Got it? God forbid Rob say that natural immunity is effective. That'll get you banned from YouTube. But Vaush could talk about the need to shoot at Patriot Prayer people. Got it? Understand the rules? I'm the dangerous person. Does anyone have the clip of Destiny again? Wasn't someone just going to post a clip? Who was it? Ogre, was it you? It was from 3 years ago, in fairness. Is this the timestamp? Ogre, before... Is it the timestamp? Okay. Let's play it. You're not going to get me in trouble with TOS, right?
Retarded? Please sterilize yourself immediately. Chop your fucking balls off. How could you say something so fucking stupid? How could the Republican Party care about cheating on your fucking wife? Maybe the average Trump supporter today doesn't care about people cheating on their fucking wives or whatever, because I don't know, most of you would seem like you're fucking 16. See it? Are Republicans still defending this guy? I hope I make it far enough to see fucking people hang. That's all I want to see. We need to bring back public fucking execution in the United States. Retarded? Please sterilize yourself immediately. Chop your fucking balls off. How could you say something so fucking stupid? How could the Republican Party care about...
I mean, that's actually not as bad as the previous thing. In the previous thing, he was just saying... I mean, that he's talking about Republican Party people. The other one, he was talking about committing violence. He's totally for violence against conservatives. But yeah. But all right, so I'm gonna head out. Schedule for the rest of the week here. Tomorrow night at 9:00 p.m. I'll be doing a debate with a person, to my knowledge, that's never done one of these online debates. I am going to massively disagree with this person. That's the nature of debates, but hopefully we keep it civil. Most of the time the one-on-one debates are. I hope the person enjoys themselves. The Crucible's doing a new thing where they are attempting to bring in new debaters that are just in their community that haven't debated, that have just been in the chat, and they want to debate bigger debaters. So I think I'm doing one. I think Counterpoints is doing one. I think Synth's doing one. So hopefully the person has fun. Maybe they'll kick my ass. That'd be great. I don't mind that at all. But it'll be on student loan debt cancellation. So you'll be able to find that in all these platforms I'm on now tomorrow. This video I'll probably take down from both YouTube and Twitter just because I didn't say anything. Everyone here, I'll take your poll. Did I say any calls for violence? Did I say anything heinous? I'll ask anyone there, even if you disagree with me on the left. Did I say anything remotely heinous? Aftershock says yes. No, I didn't. But others did. But I was playing clips of Vaush doing it, so I don't want to get dinged because I played a clip of him. So I'm going to probably delete these videos just so people just misguided. Well, fair enough, John. So I'll probably delete those videos. But check me out around 9:00 tomorrow night. We'll be doing that stream. And then sometime later this week, I'm doing a fun debate. It's called a randomizer debate on the Crucible. It's just like, it's fun little 5-minute topics. It's one-on-one, so it'll be shit like this. Like, Rob, defend why you're a communist. Defend why you're an incel. Defend why you're transgender. And so we'll do that because it's fun. So I enjoy that sort of stuff. But Dylan, if you're still listening, from the bottom of my heart, please be safe. I do hope you're getting something out of it. I do. To everyone else, thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. Even you, John, and those that I disagree with. Thank you so much, Agent. I appreciate the follow. John, hey, what's up, Samantha? When you get me on with Lauren Southern, Samantha? Oh! I'm just kidding. I would love to talk to Lauren someday, though. The only time I ever got to talk to Lauren was when I was pissed drunk eating bugs for the Odyssey games thing. But yeah, I would love to get on and talk with her. If you're still working with Lauren. If not, that's fine too. And as always, you're welcome on anytime, Samantha, to bullshit about whatever. But yeah. What was I saying? So yeah, we'll be doing that. Destiny debated Sam Cedar about that exact topic. Might be worth... Okay. Yeah. But like I said, I'll probably delete this video. Don't know, Judas. Was hoping no one would say that because I totally forgot about it. I can't, Body Devil. I can't. Lauren's busy. I get it. She's actually on the ground doing shit, and yeah. Yeah. I knew that. I know that she's working on a documentary, and look, here's the thing. No bigger streamer is obligated to deal with me. Period. Who the fuck am I? So now I think I'm great content. I'm funny. I'm handsome. I got a tremendous new hat with a trout on it. I mean, who doesn't like trout? Is that a trout? Oh yeah, that's trout. What is it? A brook? Who the hell doesn't want a trout hat in their stream? But I like Lauren. I'd love to talk to her. And then we'll still trying to get on Tim Pool's show. And Destiny did promise me the last I talked to him that he will do this Burisma debate with me, which I've been itching to do for 2 years. No one wants to debate me on that topic. No one wants to debate me on the Russia collusion shit either. Pisco, if he's still in here, kind of tried, but his take, sorry Pisco, is just the left could do no wrong, the right's always wrong. Rainbow trout's the best trout, the best LGBT fish. Debatable. I think they're co-opting. Maybe have you seen the new flag? The trans stuff in the The non-binary shit's beating out the rainbow. Rainbow trout's old school until it gets the black triangle and the circle. No. I find that worse than just the brown trout, you know? So, thanks for the follow. I didn't even say that name. Medusa? Yeah. Would I be interested in getting on Slightly Offended? I'll go wherever they'll take me. I don't know a lot. I got to be honest. I don't know a lot of these streamers. Even the big, like, people said Adam and Sitch. I've seen like 10 minutes of their stuff. Salty Cracker, I've seen a little bit. I don't know if people believe me, but I do this for entertainment. That's why I stream. I have a full-time job. I watch very little political content online as far as streamers go. Like, the videos I'm watching are like 1990s wrestling videos, chess videos, comedy stuff. I've been watching a lot of Kids in the Hall. So, you know. What are my credentials? Am I good at Souls game? I'm pretty much shit at every video game. I'll play here and there, but I don't really stream playing. Probably the video games that I was the best at peaked in like 1998 with like Nintendo 64. I was really good at like the NHL Hits game back in the day. Why would they want to, Texas American? Why would lefties that understand that I'm a competent right-winger who makes good points recommend me to Tim Pool? They're not going to. Of course not. So my credentials, video game-wise, not very good. Humor-wise, I think I'm pretty damn funny. Karaoke, 5 out of 10. String chess more. I string chess 2 or 3 times. I even brought Mad Laden on, who's actually a chess coach, to kick my ass over and over. And by the end of the stream, I had like 4 people watching. So, oh yeah, the Stone Cold era, right? Yeah. Tim Pool isn't even competent, so who cares? I like Tim Pool. It doesn't matter what I agree. But I want to get on Tim Pool's show the same reason that I want to get on Sam Cedar's show. It's not that I necessarily agree. I like what Tim Pool's doing, actually. But because I want to get out there and get a bigger platform. You know? I think I'm one of the best conservative debaters out there. I think my production values suck. But I think I have entertaining things to say and interesting points. And I see people get on shows like Joe Rogan's show and Tim Pool's show that I think aren't as good as me. You know? I saw Vaush on Tim Pool's show. I don't know that I would say Tim Pool's incompetent at all. You think Destiny's the best conservative debater? I beat him every time we debate, so Destiny is maybe the biggest socially conservative, at least when it comes to now trans issues, because radical trans people on Twitch got him canceled debater. Adam Krigler or Ian Crossland? Yeah, I would talk to any of them, yeah. Yeah, Ben Burgess was on Joe Rogan's show. He didn't do very well in the panel against me. But anyways, let's raid someone, then I'm going to be deleting these streams today. So let's get a good raid in, shall we? Who we got? We got Wake the Beast, BX Bullet. Let's raid BX Bullet. Haven't raided her in quite some time. So let's do that. Daniel Defense Products online. No, I have not. Oh. You're not banned, violent smoker. I just choose not to respond to you. Yeah, I'll get Sarah on again. She's great. Oh, BX is rating someone else? Okay, let's skip that then. Thank you for telling me. Alright, well then, we got Wake the Beast. History of European aggression he's talking about. There we go. We're going to raid Prime Case. Now, I know a lot of you might say, what? Oh, you're... Okay, BX Bullet banned you. Okay. I'm going to raid Prime Case because he did raid me the other evening, and sometimes his panels can be interesting, so let's do that. So enjoy Aftershock. You most of all, my friend. But thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be back at 9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow doing a debate on canceling student loan debt. We shouldn't do it. So that'll be a preview of that. I will have zero time to prepare for that debate, but I kind of did a panel on it the other day, so it shouldn't be bad. All your donations are incredibly appreciated. I will put that into the channel in the form of new equipment, hardware, and software, so I appreciate it. I would like to get some sort of fuzzy green screen from the back here. So, all right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. As always, have a good one.
issue for me. This is what the one second. I need to can you grab more?